Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's SANS webcast, SANS Holiday Hack 2021, Closing Ceremonies and Winner Announcements. My name is Carol Ott of SANS. Today's speakers are Ed Scotus, Chris Elgie, and Evan Booth. If during the webcast you have any questions for our presenters, please enter them into the Q&A window at any time. Please note that this webcast is being recorded, and a copy of the slides and recording of this webcast will be available for viewing later today and can be found on the SANS registration page. And with that, I'd like to hand the webcast over to our presenters.
Hey, thank you, Carol. We appreciate it. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to our little SANS Holiday Hack closing ceremony, a small party for you all. By the way, if you are registered with the SANS Holiday Hack Discord channel, there is a specific channel that is dedicated to this webcast and discussing the closing ceremonies. You can hop in there. If you're not, hey, that's totally fine too. If you do have questions, though, we'd appreciate that you put the questions into the Zoom Q&A. We are going to be watching the Discord stuff, but you know, we have to focus on something. But I'm just so happy to see you all here. You can see LG's got his great hat. He's just rocking that. Evan always wears such stylish hats. So thank you, Evan, for representing with that. And I got this whole thing just sitting around, so I figured I'd put that on. I am your host, Ed Scotus. I am joined by Chris Elgie and Evan Booth. Each of us will be presenting as we share with you some behind-the-scenes action from Holiday Hack Challenge 2021. Some statistics, some ideas of the challenges, sort of behind the scenes look there. And then, of course, our winners announcements. Super excited. Thanks for joining us. Okay, so I'm going to go over the intros and kind of the storyline. Then Chris is going to share with you some insight on the challenges. And really, we want to answer your questions too. We're going to do a formal Q&A thing at the end, but if you have a question in the interim, type it into that Zoom session. Then we're going to have KringelCon stats, wizardry, madness, and mayhem. Who's better for that than Evan Booth? No one is better than Evan for that. I'll announce the winning entries. We'll do some conclusions, and I will give you a sneak peek of SANS Holiday Hack Challenge 2022, which has been in development for about 2 months now. So we're already working on it. In fact, I had a conversation with several of the musicians last night. We've got some music that is being built as we speak. You probably won't hear that music until second week of December 2022. I first of all would love to thank each and every one of you who participated. I mean, from the whole CounterHack and SANS team, thank you. This is just a small glimpse of the over 15,000 of you that participated in the Holiday Hack Challenge 2021. It's just wonderful to see all your avatars bouncing around in there. Also, remember, we keep the Holiday Hack Challenges up and running year-round. So we are going to post the winners and answers associated with this year's Holiday Hack Challenge. So you can take those answers, the winning entries, and work through all the ones that maybe you didn't complete already or get different insights. So we're going to post all those. They'll be up in probably about 45 minutes from now or so. So thank you to all who participated. Keep participating. What we do is we keep the previous 3 years of Holiday Hack Challenges up and running for you year-round, so you can play for free in your holiday themed cyber range. And you could play 2019, 2020, and 2021. I think we still might have 2018 up, but it won't be up for very much longer because we keep 3 years up and running so that you can go in and continue to have fun and learn. We'd also like to thank our sponsors. The big sponsor here is, of course, the SANS Institute. They funded all the development, all the operations. They provide the grand prize, which is a SANS course. So we're deeply appreciative of them. Additionally, the college, the SANS Technology Institute, that's sans.edu, is also one of our sponsors. In fact, this year, sans.edu had a booth up in Santa's courtyard, and that booth featured the new mascot just announced last year, Cyberus. You can see Cyberus is the three-headed dog. He's all decked out for the holidays there. So that's me kind of posing with Cyberus in front of the sans.edu booth. We'd also like to thank Google. Google provided hosting services on the Google Cloud. They also provided a talk for KringelCon. We're super thankful for their partnership and their support in this. We love when we can interact with the team from Google. They give us great encouragement and ideas. And they're just a delight to work with. So thank you for that. For the last several years, we've worked with Splunk, and Splunk has created an awesome challenge each year for the last 3 years. They're a delight. They're just great to work with. And also the RSA conference. RSA conference is another partner of ours. They've got a really exciting event coming up in June. It's the first week of June in 2022. I'll be there, and it'd be great to see some of you there. I won't be wearing the hat, so you might not recognize me, but I still hope to see you there. Now, we are, in fact, looking for other sponsors. We have different layers of sponsors. So there's, platinum, gold, and silver, as you might expect. If you are interested, maybe you have a company or you work for a company that would like to sponsor the SANS Holiday Hack Challenge, so you can get some acknowledgement for that. You can help kind of pay it forward and such. Please reach out to contact@counterhack.com, and we'll put you in touch with the appropriate people for a sponsorship package that can describe all that to you. We would appreciate it. The only reason this can exist is because of these generous sponsors taking care of us. So thank you to all of them. And again, contact@counterhack.com if you're interested, if your organization is interested in sponsoring. We'd also like to thank our Kringle concierges. We had such a great team this year that would help people who got stuck or needed some advice on how to navigate the game, or just kind of, making sure that the conversations in the channel are positive and edifying and such on Discord. Each of these folks is a volunteer. They signed up for certain time slots, but many of them were also there helping you all in the challenges and such outside of their time slots. Now, we tell the concierges they're not TAs. If somebody technically can't solve a challenge, your job is not to help them solve the challenge. Your job is to kind of keep them moving forward, maybe hook them up with other people who are already in Discord that can help them and such. But these are essentially ambassadors of the Holiday Hack Challenge to the community. I'm not going to read each and everyone's name there, but these are wonderful folks. Our hats are off to them. Thank you so much. Each of these is going to receive a Kringle coin. This is this year's Kringle coin. Yes, the back of the Kringle coin has a cipher on it. I've kind of blanked out some of the elements of that cipher, so you can't solve it unless you get the coin. But if you get the coin, I hope you'll solve it. It's an interesting cipher. I actually came up with this year's cipher. It's a different kind of cipher. It's not exactly based on a historical cipher, but kind of merges together a couple of ideas. But when talking about this year's Kringle concierges, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Andy Smith. Many of you are familiar with Andy's work if you play Holiday Hack Challenge, because he has won the grand prize in the past. He's also built year after year these amazing videos that show him walking through the answers to each one of the challenges, and it's just been awesome. He was last year a volunteer, last year meaning 2020, for the Kringle Concierge Group, and he was a great concierge. He helped out so much. So this year we asked Andy if he could help by creating an intro video to tell all of the other concierges how to be a great concierge. So Andy did that, and it knocked my socks off. I was so impressed with what he did there. Send him a special thank you. So again, kudos to Andy Smith, and thank you from the bottom of our heart to all the Kringle concierges, and especially Andy. We'd also like to thank our KringleCon for speakers. We had some great speakers this year at KringleCon proper. I mean, amazing folks. Sean Atkinson, Jay Beal, who's a multi-year speaker at our event. Chris Davis, Chris Elgie have spoken there before. They're from the CounterHack team. Nancy Garache. We had a Google hosted talk. Mary Ellen Kennel, who did a song for us last year, did a great talk on defer for us this year. Tom Liston has spoken many times. He's with the CounterHack crew. Clay Moody did a great talk. Zena Olson, always a fascinating, wonderful speaker. Professor Cordy Petabyte joined us again this year. He's straight from the North Pole. He's from Elf University. He did a great job with his talk. I always do a little intro talk. Andy Smith did a technical talk in addition to his work with the concierges. Kevin Tyers rocked it. It was just wonderful. Now, we actually had two conference events this year, in 2021 at the North Pole. There was KringleCon, and then, as you know, Jack Frost was trying to mimic everything that Santa Claus did, so he hosted FrostFest. He issued a call for papers and a set of invitations, and only one hearty soul responded to that, and that was Jason Blanchard. So that was FrostFest's sole speaker. Now, of course, Jack Frost had all these open slots with all these open rooms in Frost Tower, and he had to do something with them. Of course, he put Jason, his sole speaker, right there in track one. But then what do you do for the rest? Well, Jack Frost hit upon this idea that he would send his trolls in to videotape all of the talks at KringleCon and then run them at FrostFest. So I'd like to thank all of our KringleCon 4 speakers for speaking at KringleCon and being very understanding when all of your talks were stolen and reused at FrostFest. That's Jack Frost's idea. It was his fault. I'm sorry, but Jason, thank you. We're going to see a little bit more about Jason coming up in a little bit, but I gave you a little picture here so you can get a sense of where Jason was hidden in the game. In addition to giving an outright talk at FrostFest, he was also hidden in a very special place. We'd also like to thank all of our volunteers here. You know, the website, the layout, the social interactions. Mark Dosty was amazing on that. Our speaker wrangler for KringleCon was Jennifer Santiago. We had some amazing musicians that supported us this year. Count Ninjala outdid himself, just so impressive. Josh Scotus did some great songs. He's my son, no relation. Mary Ellen Kennel, we reused her song from last year. It was just so darn good, I couldn't help but reuse it. We reused actually several songs from Ninjala and Josh in the past because the rooms were so much more plentiful. We actually had our largest album release ever this year. I think there were 10 new songs. That's more than we normally do. But there were so many more rooms, we brought in 6 songs or so from the past. Several of you in your write-ups said that you really liked that because it was nostalgic for you. Stuff from Holiday Hack 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019 came back. We also had a very interesting shanty song by Kendra Pendolino and no one other than Chris Elgie. So that was kind of a fun departure for us there. Our artists were Annie Royal and Evan Booth, with many other people working on things. Annie is our character artist. Evan Booth is our artist extraordinaire. You know, hey, Evan, I need a spaceship. Boom, there's a spaceship, right? Hey, Evan, I need a speak and spell. Boom, it's just amazing. We need an ET-like thing with, you know, the antenna, which is an umbrella, and it's hooked up to a speak and spell and an old record player. And I even said to Evan, I said, you know, from the ET movie, you know what that looks like? And he's like, I have it committed to memory. Of course, I know exactly what it looks like. So all that stuff was done by Evan. Voiced artists, we had Sienna Collins. She did the voice that was associated with the FPGA challenge, where, you know, it was a voice of Karen saying, I want to talk to the manager. That was Annie Royal. I was the creepy voice of the opening gate, the creaky opening gate, plus the spaceship landing. That was me, if you're wondering. R&D, a lot of that was carried by Professor Cordy Petabyte. We thank him for that. Our bird, I'm not talking about the 4 calling birds, but the actual celebrity bird in the challenge this year was none other than Clang. Clang has made several appearances in Holiday Hack in the past. We had a great group of beta testers. They tested things so thoroughly. This was our smoothest launch and our smoothest run ever. And we look forward to working with these beta testers again next year to make it even better. And then we also had, many of the challenges were created by the CounterHack crew, but we also had some volunteer challenge developers, outside folks who said, hey, I'd like to create a challenge. We talked back and forth with them, and they created some great stuff. Josh Levine did an amazing challenge. He was the one that did the source code assisted pen test for the SQL injection stuff. We're getting a lot of that kind of work in our own pen testing. So we reached out to Josh Levine, absolutely brilliant guy, and he did great stuff. I actually met Josh about 4 or 5 months ago because he is a student at the SANS Technology Institute College, and he completely rocked the pen testing certificate there. So I reached out to him, and we came up with this idea of him making a blind SQL injection challenge with source code assist. Marcus Stewart, great friend of ours. He created a challenge for us this year. He did some last year when he was stationed here. He's from the US Air Force. And last year he was working with us under the Education with Industry program. He's rotated back and is helping defend our country now, but he created a great challenge for us. And additionally, there's Kevin Tyers. Kevin Tyers is a SANS instructor, and he is sort of a wizard when it comes to keyboards. And he put together that Ducky script challenge, which is pretty awesome. So we're super thankful for all these folks that volunteered to give us a hand making this all happen for you. And then, of course, there's the CounterHack crew. You've heard me mention several of these folks, but let me just briefly tell you a little bit about them. We've got Evan Booth, who did the avatars, the world creation. He created the challenge for the Frost Evader. He created other challenges and just made that whole video game component of this thing work and to be whimsical and fun. In fact, for my team this year, we talk about how whatever we create, we want to be whimsical, not just in Holiday Hack, but in the work that we do for Net Wars and cyber ranges. And even to the extent possible, we like our pen tests to be a little bit of whimsy in them. And I remember one person from my team, I won't say who it is, but it was Tom Liston. He said, whimsy? How am I going to come up with more whimsy? So I thought about this idea this year that for a Christmas present for each person on the team, we would send them a can of whimsy. So everybody on the team got a can of whimsy this year. This is from the Brooklyn Superhero Supply Company. They sell these little cans of whimsy. This is the Christmas variety or the seasonal variety. It strikes suddenly. So everybody on the team has now a can of whimsy. If they're ever feeling unwhimsical, they can pop that open and just get ready for 2022 because there's going to be whimsy coming out of our ears. We have Ron Bose. Every presentation I do gets a mention of Ron Bose because he's such an amazing guy. He's a coder, a tester. He did that whole shell code primer challenge and all of that. And he's actually released some of the back end code for that publicly. It's amazing stuff, really good. So thank you, Ron, for all your great work. Patrick Chapman did incredible stuff on messaging, outreach, marketing, helped coordinate the artists. A lot of our layout stuff was done by Patrick. Chris Davis is a challenge developing machine. He's incredible. He's also a mini game designer. He created many of the mini games within the challenge this year, including that Holiday Hero challenge, which was a 2-person challenge, although you can hack it to play single person. People seem to really love that. Chris Elgie, what doesn't he do in Holiday Hack? I mean, he does so many things. He's big on terminal challenges and other challenge development. He creates mini games. He writes the narrative. He works with me on the dialogue and does most of the work. I just give him all the crazy ideas and he translates that into something that actually functions and then enters it in to this amazing game that Evan has created. Jared Folkens is new to our team this year. He actually joined us in July of 2021. And I said to him, hey, in 6 months, you've got to be able to launch and run Holiday Hack and make it better than ever. And he said he'd take that on. And we're so thankful that he's here. He's an infrastructure architect. He does automation. He does QA and DevOps like nobody I've ever seen. Jared completely rocked it. I called Jared, 2 months before launch? Was that it, Evan? Something like that. And I said, hey, I'm calling you and I'm terrified. I'm absolutely nervous that this thing won't work. And he's like, Ed, I got this. I'm going to make it work. And I said, I know, but I'm still very nervous. I'm really worried about this. And he said, I know I'm new to the team, Ed, but I got this. I'll make it happen. And I said, I'm not calling you this way because you're new to the team. In the past, I would always call our head of ops and say, hey, I'm terrified. Are we going to make this? And I said, I'll do it next year, even though you won't be new to the team next year. So just so you know, 2 months out, I'll call you and tell you that I'm terrified because that's what I do, right? But Jared, it couldn't have gone better. So I called Evan right afterwards and I said, hey, I just gave Jared the talk, but I'm terrified. So if he's freaking out, please calm him down. So, and then Tom Hessman was involved. He's been involved for so many years with Holiday Hack Challenge, well over 10 years. He is a QA and ops extraordinaire, did a great job helping to just make sure that quality is there for you, finding all kinds of little bugs and typos and things like that. Tom Liston is a great challenge developer. He coordinates with the ElfU research team. He and Professor Query Petabyte are really, really close. And I think Tom actually sharpens Petabyte's work. I mean, make no mistake, Petabyte is the brains of the outfit, but Liston is there to help push QWERTY Petabyte to do his very best. And we're super thankful for that. Tom comes up with some of our most advanced challenges and does great. Lynn Schifano is our coordinator. She's the chief of staff at CounterHack. Coordination, project wrangling, community outreach, QA, voice of sanity. Last year I told you Ron Bose was our voice of sanity. He has handed off that mantle to now Lynn Schifano. She is certainly our voice of sanity. There's little old me. I come up with a story and work on the music. And then there's Josh Wright, who oversees all of the challenge development. Josh creates a lot of challenges himself, but more important, or maybe just as important, he also makes sure that all the challenge developers are moving forward. LG helps him with that a lot. He also helps with deployment and overall project management. This is the CounterHack team. Oh, and I'm super thankful for all of them. Here you can see us posing. This was moments before launch this year. I believe it was December 8th that we launched. And you can see we're all ready and super excited about what was coming. All right, so briefing on the storyline here. As you know, this was KringleCon 4, Calling Birds. Make a note of that. We're going to come back to it. So the idea here is Jack Frost was foiled last year when he tried to impersonate Santa. He had that painting that you could jump through and become Santa Claus. It was kind of like being John Malkovich. That didn't work. So Jack Frost sat down and said, how can I usurp this whole holiday season from Santa Claus? Obviously, posing as Santa didn't work, but could I instead just replicate everything Santa does, but put it up a level? Santa holiday plus plus. That's what he was trying to do. And he built a giant tower right next door to Santa's castle. And he put a casino in there. His vocal expressions might have sounded a little bit familiar to you as you spoke with Jack. Here you can see sort of the courtyard and the North Pole in the middle. We wanted to have the music changed as you jump to either side because there's a completely different vibe. And you could see Frost was essentially trying to create a fake holiday season to co-opt the holidays by going bigger and better than Santa ever did. But fundamentally, Jack didn't understand what made for the success of Santa's holiday work. And in fact, if you got far enough into the game, there was a document in the game that you had to retrieve. And it was Santa's secrets for how to make the holiday season special. And it starts with kindness and includes sharing and joy and peace and cooperation and community and a whole bunch more. Jack didn't get that. Now, as you continue your way through the game, you discover that not all the trolls are super supportive of what Jack is doing. I mean, the lower level trolls, they're grumpy and they grunt and stuff like that, and they don't even think about what Jack is doing. They just follow their orders. But as you get further in, the trolls get more and more ill at ease of the nastiness that Jack is bringing to the holiday season. And they actually start collaborating with you, fundamentally helping you build a communications device that sends a signal out into space. That's where you have to build that FPGA to put into the speak and spell, to put into the ET style communicator. And when you do, it makes that sound, beep, 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 beep. And then the spaceship lands and you learn about the backstory of Jack Frost. So the idea here was to take some part of ET, Phone Home, and to take some part of Close Encounters of the Third Kind and to fuse them together with a holiday theme. And you learn that Jack Frost is an alien from the planet Frost. And it turns out all of the trolls are Frostians. And there was an expedition that came to Earth centuries ago, bringing Jack Frost and all of the trolls. And they actually, the trolls themselves, are the same people group as the Munchkins and the elves. They just kind of separated over the centuries and such. But now the trolls realize that what Jack is doing is fundamentally bad. So they are enlisting your help to call back to Planet Frost, saying, come back and pick up Jack Frost because this isn't working out so well with Jack committing such atrocities. So you'll learn that Jack is an alien. Now, a little point of subtlety in this. If you listen to many of the songs in Holiday Hack Challenge 2021, they include that Close Encounters of the Third Kind beep, 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 beep. If you listen to Viva Frost Vegas actually has 3 times where that sound repeats itself. And I actually called Ninjala and I said, hey, he put it in there once. And I said, I need it 3 times. He put it in a second time. I said, I need it 3 times. He said, Ed, there's no more room for it for a third time. I said, it has to be in there 3 times. And if you listen to several of the other songs, they also include the beep, 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 beep. And the whole game ends with you on the spaceship that is coming to pick up Jack Frost. Santa Claus is zoomed into the spaceship, and you get to hear the backstory of how the elves and the trolls and the Munchkins came to be. So that was our story. All right, so let's go ahead now and turn this thing over to none other than Chris Elgie, who's going to entertain us with a description of the challenges. Chris, take it away.
Thank you, Ed, and thank you, Josh, by the way, for being booked so I could usurp your spot in the webcast today. If we go to the next slide, Ed, a lot of people ask us why we build certain challenges the way we do, and it really comes down to learning objectives. Whether it's a Net Wars or a holiday hack, there are specific things we want people to learn. And yes, in a way, we're testing things as well, but our heart is really in bringing people along through the learning process. That's why we have hints. That's why we have people chatting with each other. We want people to increase their skills with these ranges. So in terms of what objectives we select, it's going to fit one of these 2 criteria. Either number one, it's something that we see a lot in our pen testing, or other consulting. So for example, I'm going to take this hat off. It's going to jingle whenever I move my head. We do a lot of Kerber roasting in pen tests. So we wanted to make sure we had a challenge that represented that. Or maybe it's a skill that that maybe we do, maybe we don't do throughout the year, but it's something that we think is vital to your growth as an information security professional. So take, for example, the FPGA challenge. You might say, do you guys do that on pen tests? And maybe we do, maybe we don't. But with the growth of OT, we wanted to include skills like that in the holiday hack. So that's where these come from. Next, please. We do some learning as well. Each year, we have this plan in our minds on how things are going to go, and then you surprise us every year, and we love that we can learn as well. Here is a screenshot from the GNMAP challenge, and we expected. What do we expect? We expected you to come in and practice your NMAP skills, practice your GREP skills, because those are vital to your growth as an information security professional, and also things we do in our pen tests. What we got was next, please, an alert from Google. Hey, someone is using your challenge here to go ahead and scan the open internet for 3389 for open RDP ports. So we learned a lesson there. We should watch our egress checking. So thank you for teaching us that lesson. Next time, maybe just an email to support@holidayhackchallenge.com. Here's another one. This is a lesson I learned. With the Where in the World is Carol Santa Igo challenge, there were these very pixelated elf selfies. And the idea was that players would download those and then run exif tool on them, see the latitude, longitude, and then identify the next location they needed to move to in the game. To build that metadata, I wanted it to look really realistic. So I copied metadata from a photo I'd taken on my cell phone, and we can show that now. People found that when using other tools, that some of the metadata includes a thumbnail. So since I didn't have permission to use the likeness of the other two gentlemen in that photo, we did modify the challenge, take out that thumbnail there. But that's something we learned, and thank you, Hal2328, for bringing this to our attention. We do appreciate that. The next one is these two just wonderful challenges, not officially part of the competition, but Chris Davis and Josh Wright just made, there are these two amazing Log4j challenges that came out of nowhere. I mean, in very short order, with support from Professor Cordy Petabyte giving a talk, they built a defender and an offensive Log4j challenge. And what we expected was for folks to go into the red team challenge and exploit this thing and learn how it works, learn more about the mechanics of what's really going on. And then what we got was actually another email from Google, very, very helpful, that we were being exploited by a Log4j exploit, which was good to know. And we said, thank you. And great that they could detect that for us and alert us, but just kind of a fun thing that we thought would be interesting. And then my last slide here is on the community. We love the joy of learning. Like, we want you to get there technically. We want you to have the cool keyboard skills, but we love it when people enjoy what they're doing and when they share it with others. There's a picture here that Icon Has Pie tweeted of her daughters playing Chris Davis's Holiday Hero Challenge, and we just love the heck out of this. We think it's great that she's sharing this with them, that they're playing together. Funny story though. So Chris wanted to make sure that folks who wanted to play this two-player would be able to at launch, because you can hack it one player, or you can play it straight with two players. A lot of our challenges are that way. You can play it as a game, or you can hack it. But he wanted to make sure someone was available to play as that second player. So especially at launch, he spent hours by that sleigh playing the game. And what was really interesting on the first day is somebody played about 20 times in a row with him, and Chris was a little confused. He wasn't sure what was going on. Like, they got the achievement. Why don't they move on and try something else? They just kept playing over and over. And am I being trolled? I don't know what's going on. Well, it turned out, and you can show this, that Jared's son, had been playing with him over and over. And we figured this out the next day, and it was pretty funny to us. But again, it shows that connection, that not only are players sharing it with their family members and with their coworkers and friends, but also we share it with our families. I will add, by the way, that in the Logic Munchers game, there are some light sound effects there, largely done by my wife. So I get to bring her in as well. So maybe she feels a little less lonely when we're in the thick of it and really trying to crank this thing out the door. So with that, thank you all so much for playing and sharing. And I will pass it off to the man behind the green curtain, Evan Booth.
Hey, thanks, Chris. I'm going to talk a little bit about statistics. All right, so starting off, we had about 15,000 players join us in the North Pole this year, which is fantastic. And of that 15,000, we had 12,496 go through the orientation and open the gate and collect their Wi-Fi dongle. And then they progressed to additional challenges, and 3,519 of you were able to thaw the door on Frost Tower and get in there. And on the roof of Frost Tower, 304 of you were able to summon the spaceship and go inside and learn about Jack Frost and his backstory and roll the credits. And since we didn't have a requirement to complete all objectives this year to see the end credits, we had a fewer players actually complete all of them, and 282 of you were able to knock out all of those. And of that 282, it took an average of just about 18 days, start to finish, to work through the entire challenge, which is pretty great. The first person to cross the finish line and see the credits was RNU on December 10th. And two short hours and 22 minutes later, King Prawn crossed the line, followed by Lukash about 9 hours after that. So pretty tight finishing times there. 2,292 of you made it into Jack's executive restroom this year. And of that 2,292, 243 of you flushed the toilet, which is very considerate. Thank you. And in doing so, you learned that Jason Blanchard was actually hiding, in the handle of the toilet. So you had a conversation with Jason there. And I don't know if anyone actually picked up on this or not, but if you flushed the handle on the toilet, your name appears on the wall in the bathroom sometime later that day. So go check that out if you didn't see it. If you were, messing with the teleportation mechanic in the game and maybe engaged in a little WebSocket shenanigans, you might end up in a place called Shenanigans. I know 76 of you did. It looks like this. Pretty fun place. Fun fact, so far as I could tell, 0 avatars were minted as NFTs this year.
This year.
Yeah. You guys sent 25,571 chat messages between the in-game chat and on Discord, which is fantastic. We'd love to see everyone collaborating and working together. And this year, you generated 4,727,463 Redis keys. So good job, Redis. Thank you. All right. Here is a breakdown of the percentage of players that were able to complete each of the objectives. So I'll leave this on for just a sec. All right.
It's worth mentioning real quick, Evan, sorry to interrupt,
Sure.
but our goal is to get somewhere between 2 and 3% for total completion. And the team has been amazing, and you have been amazing as participants in hitting that pretty consistently every year. And then over time, because we leave this thing open, it trends up to 3%. But 2 to 3% people finishing is, we feel that's right. We do want a lot of people to get into the game and start getting, a third in or a half in or more. But this 2 to 3% finishing, we think, is great.
Yeah, it's kind of amazing that that we hit that every year. Like it's more impressive than golf, I think. This next graph shows the percentage of players who are able to complete each terminal in the game, which is a nice steady curve there. You love to see it. All right, finally, this this next graph shows the average number of attempts that were required to complete each individual terminal. So for every successful completion, you had this many.
Oh, you're on mute, Evan.
Sorry about that.
That's good.
So this next graph is illustrates Jack Frost as he progresses through a funhouse. So moving on, we had 222 people submit reports this year. And of that 222, we had 50 honorable mentions. And we had 53 super honorable mentions, which notably is a 2-fold increase from last year. And on the subject of winning entries, I will pass it back over to Ed. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Evan. That was great. Really appreciate it. And thank you, Chris, too. That was wonderful to hear you guys share that stuff. Cool. So winning entries. Hey, who wants to hear that? And I do believe we have some of our winners here with us, listening to the webcast and perhaps in Discord at the same time. So that's kind of cool. All right, so here are our honorable mentions. This is not all of them. There's actually 3 slides of these, but I put them up and they're in alphabetical order. Thank you, Lynn, for helping me do the alphabetical order here. We tried to mimic the capitalization that you submitted your work in. So some of these you'll see might be all lowercase, some all uppercase, et cetera, et cetera. So this is our first group from A through M. Of honorable mentions. These folks answered all the questions. They did a great job, really solid. An honorable mention, earning an honorable mention is a significant thing when it comes to Holiday Hack. Here's a next set of honorable mentions. I guess there's 2 slides of folks here, the previous one and this one. These names will all be listed on the SANS website coming up in just a little bit. In fact, why don't, now that we're in the winning entries, if somebody could reach out to Mark Dostey and say that Ed asked, or maybe Mark is on the webcast itself, Ed asked if you could get that published. So let's go ahead and publish them now. It'll take about 20 minutes for this to go live on the website. So if somebody could take care of that, I don't know, Chris or Evan or Lynn or Patrick, whoever, just reach, or Mark, if you're here, just do it. And we'll have all that stuff up for you. We are deeply honored when people put on their resumes that they got a super honorable mention or an honorable mention in Holiday Hack Challenge. That's a pretty cool thing. I see it sometimes in the resumes that get sent to me for stuff at SANS Technology Institute or SANS itself, or even CounterHack, and that's just lovely. Here's your super honorable mentions. Wow. So these folks not only answered everything, they did something particularly impressive. They went above and beyond. Really great work by folks here. Some fascinating names. You can see Anand and Fat Sheep and just really great stuff. And also people from around the world participate in this. And that's something else that just amazes me, that we have such. Next year, let's take a look if we can and like list the number of countries or something that participate in this. I think that'd be an interesting thing, but it's a lot. Here's your second group of super honorable mentions, and just a great group of very skilled people here. So it's wonderful. And as I was going through this, I even noticed there was a SANS instructor or 2 that had earned a super honorable mention, which I think is pretty neat. All right, now let's move on to the next set of winners. So we do a random draw. I go to random.org and collect some random numbers from them, and then just go through and see who is going to earn themselves a t-shirt. So we've got Jorg Schwarzwalder, Pinja Koskinen, Yassine Gena, Daryl Miles, Reshma Nwang-Gi, and Blake Bourgeois. I apologize if I didn't pronounce your name properly, but I practiced. I tried. So we will reach out to each of you to ask you the size of shirt you would like, as well as whether you want a shirt from KringleCon or a shirt from FrostFest. Because as you know, Jack Frost did have his gift shop that if you're going to try to leave the tower, you got to go through the gift shop. That was actually Evan's idea. And the little sample of the Money, 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 Money song, that was just one of my favorite parts of this year's challenge. Now, if you didn't earn a t-shirt through the random draw, you can still order them. They're available. We don't make any money on the shirts. We want these to be available for the community. You could get a t-shirt, or there's hoodies. There's a whole bunch of stuff available. The top one that you see here, mystore-c1fcaf.creator-spring.com, that is the store for this year's KringleCon. So all of Santa's stuff is there. Frostfest.creator-spring.com, that's where Frostfest stuff is. I did actually look at whether we could get Jack Frost little stuffed animals made this year. They were prohibitively expensive. But it was Evan's idea to put these little Jack Frost things all over in the Frost gift shop. And that was really cool. And I tried to get some made, but they would be well over $100 or even $200 each, because they'd all be pretty much customized. So we decided not to, because we want this to be accessible to people around the world at whatever socioeconomic status they have. So we made the call not on that. But if you do want to order yourself a shirt or a t-shirt or something like that, These will be open. They'll remain open. So help yourself. And again, we're not doing this to, make money or anything like that. We operate these things, with no profit. Instead, they're just there for you to, be a part of this. All right, so let's move on to the big winners. Okay, here we go. Get ready, get ready. The most creative submission that we received, and this person will receive a NetWars continuous subscription for 4 months, was Jai Minton. Jai created a video game based on our video game. And it's 3D, and you've got these little characters and they run around and you can talk to each other. It is a delight. It's amazing. Everybody from the CounterHack team that saw this said, oh, this is the creative winner. I mean, really, it's so good. It's fun. It's funny. And it's beautiful. You can even see the little chickens that play the part of the 4 calling birds right on the upper right-hand side. You could see a replica of the Frost Casino, the Frost Tower Casino on the bottom right. Even the North Pole with the Log4j challenges that we threw in like 2 weeks after launch are all there. Really, really good stuff. So Jai, I don't know if you were able to make it here, but we'll be reaching out to you to see that you get your NetWars continuous subscription. That has a value of about $3,000. We'd be honored for you to play that. Our runner-up here, to whom we'll send a Kringle coin, is Joel Tan. What a great entry this was. The answers to all of the challenge were a series of letters to Santa Claus from children. So it's as though some child had solved the FPGA challenge, or some child had solved Kerber roasting and sent this letter. And there were purposeful misspellings and some grammar things in there on purpose, because it was just adorably cute. And each letter would, ask Santa for some gifts and then point out how that child solved the challenges. Joel, it was whimsical and fantastic. Thank you for that. All right, so that was most creative. Jai will get the NetWars continuous subscription. Joel Tan will receive the Kringle coin, the much coveted Kringle coin. Our best technical answer, which will also receive a NetWars continuous subscription for 4 months, was David Forsyth. When we're choosing the winners of this, what we're looking for is not only someone who did a great write-up, but also somebody who tried to capture some whimsy in it, right? And we got these cans of whimsy here, right? Looking for some whimsy, but also we're looking for something that we consider to be the official answers, right? So if you want to learn, and maybe you can't solve one of these challenges, what can you go to so that you can learn? And that's what these official write-ups are, the ones that we're selecting to say these are the official ones. And the thing that was so great about David's is that it had a written description of the answer to each issue, but it also had an inline video, so you could watch him solving it. Now, most years we'll have people send in video answers, and they'll also send, other groups of people will send in written answers. But David had both inline. So it's like, I will describe to you how to solve this. And then he has the written description. Oh, and then here's a video if you want to see me applying it. That was amazing. And it's a tremendous amount of work. So David, we loved your work. We hope you'll have fun playing NetWars continuous subscription, valued at about $3,000 for 4 months. Congrats on that. Great, great stuff. Our runner-up for this one was Roger Johnson. Roger had really clear explanations. It wasn't a video-based one, but from just a standard PDF style write-up, it was tremendous. I mean, really, really good. Well organized, beautiful. Several people on the CounterHack team said this is one of the most beautiful ones that we've received in PDF form. Also, when Mark Dosty posts the webpage that announces all the winners, he's going to link to each one of these winners. So you'll see their name, but then there'll be a link to their entry so that you can use that as the official answer to help you work through the ones that maybe you haven't completed. But there's one more. This next one is the big one. So this is the grand prize. The person that I'm about to announce will receive a free SANS online class. And this is just tremendous work. Are you ready for it? Here we go. Thomas Buva. I have been spending the last 24 hours practicing pronouncing Thomas's name. So Thomas Buva. Buva. It's simply amazing work. Last year, Thomas had our best technical answer, but not the grand prize. This year, Thomas's answer was the grand prize winner. free SANS on-demand or online course. Last year, Thomas did his with like a movie poster to start, and it was the Being John Malkovich movie, but it was Santa Claus. This year, Thomas followed up with an even better write-up with Close Encounters of the Frostian Kind. You can see the ET style spaceship that Evan drew landing. And you can see it starring Santa Claus, Jack Frost, Crahan, which is Thomas Buva. That's his player name inside the game. And Jason, or with Jason as a flush handle. So even that little fun, whimsical piece, Thomas reflected in his answer. The write-up is fantastic. It's easy to follow. He also has a series of Easter eggs that Thomas discovered in the game, it's nice for us to see that you're paying attention to that stuff. So congratulations, Thomas. We'll be reaching out to you very soon so that you can get your access to that free SANS class. Great work. So this grand prize is the official answer for SANS Holiday Hack Challenge. Thomas, thank you for providing that to us. But still, do take a look at the creative one. Jai Minton's work was tremendous, and David Forsyth's work. Look at the technical answer. It's awesome, awesome. So that's what we have for you this year. But there's one more thing: the 2022 sneak peek. I usually like to end these sessions with a holiday hack wrap up with just a little view, a little hint of what we're thinking of for 2022. It's not what we're thinking of, it's what we're actively working on. Evan has been working for about a month on this thing, building the back-end data structures, making the tweaks to the video game that we want to see. I've been working on the storyline. We're working on the music already. We're starting to think of challenges. LG's got an inventory of challenges that we're starting to think about. So what's 2022 going to be about? Some of you have actually guessed it because there's a theme that we're using. In 2018, we launched the first KringleCon. So the idea was a virtual conference. Who ever heard of a virtual conference? Well, in 2018, it was kind of a new thing. But Santa Claus hosted a virtual conference at the North Pole, and we simply called it KringleCon because we had no idea that we'd do it again. It was just a one-off thing, and it went pretty well. So Santa came back to us and said, hey, let's do that again. And in 2019, we'll do KringleCon 2 Turtle Doves. Actually, it was Evan's idea, I believe, to call KringleCon 2 Turtle Doves. So Turtle Doves was kind of the theme, and it made its way into the artwork, and it just sort of gave us a motif. KringleCon 2 Turtle Doves. All right, and that went great. So then what are you going to do in 2020? Well, it's pretty obvious. You're going to do KringleCon 3 French Hens. And of course, our French hens spoke French because they're French hens, right? So that was KringleCon 3. And then in 2021, the phase we're just completing now was KringleCon 4, Calling Birds. And each of our birds had a different way of calling. One was calling on the phone. Another had a duck call, right? Another one was playing cards and was calling, your poker hand and so forth. That's all very well and good, but what are you going to do for KringleCon 5? Well, it's kind of baked in, isn't it? KringleCon 5, and we've been anticipating this for 3.5 years now. We knew this was coming. Maybe you knew it was coming too, but KringleCon 5. Golden rings. Golden rings? Where do you get golden rings from? You might see some references to J.R.R. Tolkien's classic work, Lord of the Rings. So KringleCon 5, golden rings, get ready. Jack's not coming back. Jack is done. There's going to be a new adversary with all kinds of, yes, shenanigans at the North Pole. So stay tuned. Second week of December 2022. KringleCon 5, golden rings. I think you're going to love it. We're super excited. All right, so thank you all. By the way, if you want to get news about what's happening inside the holiday hack world throughout the year, new things that we're planning, new ideas, we need input. Hey, we're making a call for concierges, that kind of stuff. Follow at KringleCon. That'll get you details year round. And also, if you would, if I could ask it, please share your feedback on Holiday Hack Challenge 2021. We have this URL for you. It's sansurl.com. That's a SANS specific URL shortener. And then it's simple. It's holiday-hack-feedback. If you could fill that out, we do read those. Well, when I say we, I mean Chris Elgie. But then he tells the rest of us what it's about. Actually, I think several of the team read it, but Elgie is really focused on this, as is Patrick from the team. They read through this stuff and come up with ideas of how we can make the following year better. And then they push all the rest of us on the team to say, hey, we got this great feedback last year. Let's make sure we incorporate that to make this our best year ever. So thank you to Chris and Patrick for doing that, and to the whole team. Thank you all for being here. I'd like to open it up for questions and answers if there are any. Or Evan or Chris, do you have anything to add?
Nothing here.
Okay, so let's see. I'm going to go ahead and look at the questions. Patrick asked the question, just joined, will this talk be available on the YouTube channel? It's going to be an archived SANS webcast. So I don't know the answer to your question, but it'll be in whatever format that SANS webcasts are archived in. So if you're watching this piece of it, you'll be able to get access to that. Let's see. Mark Dosty, thank you, Mark. I guess Mark is on the webcast. He did post the answers and the winners, so that's awesome. Thank you, Mark. You rock. Michael says, I love it already. Lord of the Rings. Isn't that so cool? It's been planned for years, Lord of the Rings. And wait till you see how it unfolds. Oh my gosh, there's mayhem. It's going to be beautiful. I've already talked with Evan a lot about what the artwork should look like and the soundscape of the whole thing. Cody says, any particular reason moving away from the Holiday Hack Challenge domain? That's a really good question. Mark Dosty has come on board the SANS Ranges team to work on the marketing side of it. And he was available. He's got great artistic and layout skills. He also did a lot of the taglines and things like that for social networking and such. And he has access to the sans.org website, so he can post things like that for us. So from a counter hack perspective, it was just easier and smoother for us to work with someone inside of SANS who had these professional skills rather than us trying to cobble that together. Although I have to say, you know, we're keeping up holidayhackchallenge.com. That's going to have all the historic information there and all that kind of stuff. Tom Hessman did a great job building that year after year after year. But honestly, from a counter hack perspective, it's better for us to use Tom Hessman's skills in doing QA stuff than website layout. And no offense, Tom, you did a great job, but this is what Mark Dosty is officially trained in. So that's the reason, is to move it there. Dan says, I could swear you were going down the blockchain route with that gold ring picture. Well, we did blockchain last year. If you remember, the Naughty Nice list was blockchain. So I chose that picture because I just thought it was a kind of a pretty picture. Let me put that back on the screen, of the number 5 with golden rings. So that's why I chose that one. But that's where we're headed with this. Other questions? Are there any questions in Discord? I'm looking at the questions in Zoom right now. I think we've answered them all.
None in Discord right now.
Okay, good. Well, thank you guys, all of you, for joining us. It's great to share this with you. Thank you also for just participating. It makes us so happy. We work really, really hard on this. And I also want to thank everybody who contributed to this. Just the team that, if you count it up, there's probably 50 or 55 people that work on this thing. Our goal is to give you our best year after year after year. People will often say shortly after launch, what are you going to do to top this? And my team knows I don't like it when people ask that. I don't want you to think about what we're going to do next year while you're playing this year. Enjoy this year. Really savor it. We'll worry about next year. And honestly, I've told my team this many times as well. We don't sit down and say, how can we make this year's better than last year's? We sit down and say, how can we make this year the best that we can do? And if our skills are developing, if we are getting great feedback from you so that we can learn things. You heard Chris Elgie just talk about how we learn every year. How can we take what we've learned and build the best that we can do now? And if we're constantly sharpening our own skills, that should make it better than the previous year. But we don't set out to top ourselves. We just set out to do the best work that we can do. And again, I'm so thankful for all the people on the team that made this happen. And then for all of you, our participants. So on behalf of the entire Counter Hack crew, thank you so much. And we'll see you in Holiday Hack Challenge 2022, second week of December. You can mark it on your calendars. All right, thank you.
All right.
Carol, you want to close us out?
Yeah, will do. Thanks so much, Ed, Chris, and Evan, for your great presentation, which helps bring this content to the SANS community. To our audience, we greatly appreciate you listening in. For a schedule of all upcoming and archived SANS webcasts, including this one, please visit sans.org/webcasts. Until next time, take care, and we hope to have you back again for the next SANS webcast.